Bueno, seguimos la misión de arcontes. Vamos a darle. Tenemos que regresar con Newbillet. Así que supone que ya hablo con Furina. Sí, ya la cacheteó, ya le pegó, ya le hizo así de, ¡dime qué pasó! Bueno, así, órale. Estoy que me muero de ganas de saber. Si no, yo digo que luego hay que hablar con la astróloga. A ver si nos dice algo más.
You're here, finally.
Ah, caray, ¿qué pasó?
Is something wrong? Monsieur Deurvelette and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute. Please go see for yourself.
Oh, oh. Esto no promete nada bueno. Chan, chan, chan.
I said I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us.
Chan, chan,
It is
chan.
not my intention to offend you, but please tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not?
Voladoras.
This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
Ten piedad, mujer.
You mean they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured different images that seemed to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you
Te
again.
creo.
Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
All
Chan,
gods
chan,
have
chan.
the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as well as do nothing following your inquiries. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be. Nor are you a fool. And
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type. Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it.
Chan,
There's
chan,
no point
chan.
questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me.
Se
You're
están
Archon
peleando.
and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine.
Lección de vida, muchachos. Nunca peleen con una mujer. Aunque esta parezca ser una debilucha niña malcriada.
That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again.
Ya.
The opera's about to start. Toodles!
Niño Belet puede con una mujer. ¡Tata! Me encanta ese momento de...
Did Verena not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling. Huh. She didn't seem in the mood to care if we were listening in or not.
ocultando algo.
I assume
O eso
you've been
creo.
outside for a while now?
seems Farina didn't even realize we were here.
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again, a state of affairs that we cannot allow to continue. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage?
Es una mujer, Newbillet, es que tú no entiendes. Que no quiere hablar y ya. A lo mejor interrogarla no era la mejor aproximación. Furina se tiene que dar cuenta por sí misma de la gravedad del asunto. Si como un hombre llegas bien bravo así de, dime la respuesta, hija de tu madre. Y la otra de, ¿quién es que? Y ya, chingaste, güey. Sí, te cacheteó, güey. Furina se tiene que dar cuenta por sí misma de la gravedad del asunto.
Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue
Oh,
is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless absolutely forced to. We may
¿qué va a
have to create a
revelar?
situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh, no.
Who?
¿Qué
Like
vamos a hacer?
What? Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
Damn.
Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do what we can.
Córrala.
If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious, and so we must take a chance on this.
Haremos ayuda.
But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
Creo que conozco a algunas, no es a alguien, algunas personas que podrán ayudarnos. A ver, unos días después en un barco cerca del tranquilo Pasan, Pasan. Me encanta la pronunciación, Pasan. Creo que se pronuncia en el francés, güey. Ya quisiera yo saber francés, güey.
Well, that's everyone, huh?
Bueno, en realidad me gustaría saber japonés.
Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That naturally makes it the best choice.
Here
Oh,
you are
tiene un buen
drinking tea
punto.
like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what families should do. Sit and enjoy a leisurely time together.
It's nice to enjoy tea
El
here, you
meñique,
know?
Bob.
Care for a cup?
El meñique. ¿Quién quiere té? Meñique.
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me? No, I don't think I can.
Vamos, habla, Freminet, es tu momento.
How about you, good sir?
Y le da
I
ahí
fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber
Te
as it is
barcos.
in court.
Oh, este barco se convirtió en un tribunal.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful, the spotlight at last. I guess I'll be facilitating things from here.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Si a las dos no dejo de verlas.
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend here, the traveler, has brought us together to discuss something. As for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to create a series of traps.
Una serie de trampas. ¡Ay! Trampas. Esto suena una intervención forzada.
How intriguing.
Así de. Fossalors es una alcohólica y hay que ayudarle a dejar el vicio. Claro
Well,
que sí.
it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Clorand and used on the spot. So, let's invite her to explain in detail. A round of applause, please.
Huh?
Un fuerte aplauso.
Didn't you say that we would be facilitating this?
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might even pick up some fancy oratory tricks.
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss. Do go on.
encanta que el Traveler está calladito, así de, yo los reuní
In
aquí,
that
pero hablen
case,
entre ustedes.
do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette, oh, right. You were sick that day, weren't you?
Cuenta cazar en un videojuego.
I've also gone diving to catch some fish before. Does that count?
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host to a group known as the Marechaussee Hunters. Though that was their name, they did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left behind by the ancient dynasty of King Remus. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. They even left a unique methodology of hunting in their wake.
Entonces vamos a cazar a Furina como si fuera un animal
A
salvaje.
trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. Sometimes a lethal implement will also be necessary to deal with the prey. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now,
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait and naturally enter the snare. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can count on our techniques.
Ay, ya que humilde es dinero.
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime. I'm quite the multitasker, if I do say so myself.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water and waiting for the fish to come within reach. That's the kind
Buen
of method I
pescador.
would count on.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch loads of fish.
Sonarme. Sí, no, claramente Fermín es un buen pescador. Ya sé que se llama Freminet, pero se me facilita más decirle Fermín.
And I can be their assistant.
Ya ayúdame, hermanos.
with discretion, I'm sure.
Soy re buen pedo para ayudarlos.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can attract others of their kind.
Me encanta ese mame de yo voy a usar tecnología porque mi papi me compraba animales mecánicos para soltarlos y atrapar
I
animales
remember that you liked those
mecánicos.
too, didn't you?
Uh,
And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough, animals of the same kind will follow them all the way to the trap.
está bien usar animales
What about you,
mecánicos.
Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related experience.
Sí, Nubilede, yo soy un dragón del agua, yo no necesito cazar.
That makes sense. You usually solve problems directly, without the use of any such tricks. But I do have one more question for you. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
Soy un dragón del agua, yo no necesito trampas.
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey. A more gentle trap would be ideal.
Ay, qué benis.
Kind as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily change the containment device and the type of implement we need. If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Florinda es toda cruel y malvada. Toda una dominatrix, güey.
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it. The line that divides life and death is often exceedingly thin.
So, are we going hunting together?
Lo que preguntó Freminet, ¿vamos a ir de casa o qué?
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters. It kinda works, but maybe it's still not the best metaphor.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, then the hunting metaphor is actually quite accurate. But we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god. A being whose seat is an exalted throne.
Ya llegamos al meollo.
Oh, so that's what's going on.
La metáfora de Clorint en realidad no es más que eso, una metáfora. Nos harán llamar cazadores porque ese no es el quid de la cuestión. Además, su relación con Furina tampoco está en un punto tan malo como ese. Solo necesitan averiguar qué secreto esconde. Es irreverente indagar en los irreverentes. Interesante uso de la palabra. Es irreverente indagar en los secretos de un dios. Pero deciden asumir el riesgo para evitar que Fontaine se hunda bajo el agua, tal y como predice la profecía. Irreverente está bien dicho. O sea, es irreverente de. Es loco, es completamente. O sea, se escapa a la comprensión humana. ¿Qué es la definición de irreverente? Ok. O es de locos, es impensable indagar en los secretos de Dios. O sea, sí, yo creo que está usada la palabra irreverente. Bueno, pues hay que cazarla. En este caso, no existe ni un cazador ni una presa, pero sí la posibilidad de tender una trampa. Eso es lo que necesitan, una trampa. Ah, cinemática. Algo me dice que esto va a ser como la misión de Sumeru, de que toda la cinemática del plan se va a ir mostrando conforme avance la misión. Lo cual me gusta, pero es como de, jeje, no te sabes el plan completo. Ya lo discutieron, ya está planeado, ya está todo, pero no te lo sabes, hombre. O sea, la va a hacer Espina de Rosula. No estás listo para el plan.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening.
Esas reuniones me han dado un hambre.
Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh?
Claro que sí, vamos a cazar una diosa.
Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised.
¿Te sientes con más confianza ahora, Paimon?
Well,
Di que sí,
not
cállate.
yet. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, Paimon sure will do great.
Claro
After
que
all,
sí.
you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Huh?
¿Qué pasa?
Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing that at all.
No.
Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea. I merely refrained from saying anything till now.
¿Qué? Tenemos la voz fantasmal.
Who's that voice? But there's no one here.
Ah, have you forgotten me already?
Sí me acuerdo de tu voz, eres la voz fantasmal de Sumeru.
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. Though, not completely wrong. You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. I sensed that confusion and thus came to you. Guiding people is an irresistible hobby of mine. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim.
Es amiga de la maestra de Mona y seguramente también es amiga de la mamá de Klee. Entonces es parte de del parecer de la logia de brujas raras que todavía no conocemos. Mm, Bruja N de la que la re. Exacto, es una de las brujas. Me gustaría preguntarte algo sobre la profecía.
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled.
Con toda
You
seguridad.
may view such things as the history of the future.
Ay, qué miello.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed?
Otra vez es el destino. No puede haber ninguna excepción.
So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also sounds kind of scary.
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
Ah,
All
cabrón, se
you
vació
need
la
to
taza de
do
té.
is to play your part. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice. It's gone.
Pista que nos da la bruja N. Pues yo no la entendí, pero quiero creer que el traveler sí. Las inesperadas noticias te dejan al despertarte te encuentras con alguien. Hay que hacerlo lo primero. Yo no hablo. Yo no hablo. Qué trabajadora te has vuelto, Paimon. Yo, holgazán. Tú eres el holgazán.
I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona, mona, mona.
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more interesting than I expected.
Qué bueno que te divertes en tu
Not
simposio.
all Fontanians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat with her.
Adivino quién era.
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes, it was Charlotte.
Charlotte.
You remember her, right? That
Claro que sí.
daredevil journalist. I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few words?
Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Ah, yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. I'll try again tonight, but I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Alguien van a vernos. Santander el cadejo, pero alguien van a vernos. Imagino que vino a transmitirnos un mensaje.
The god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost. But I've never met her, and if she were still alive, she'd be... well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Madres.
Whoa. The Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group. But they must really stay in shape to
En
live
algún
so
punto yo
long.
creo que vamos a conocer a todas las brujas de la Aquelarre.
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she said.
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though. Perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now.
Es posible. Seguro que la pista que nos dio es útil, pero ¿cuándo entenderemos su valor y significado? ¿Fue esa la mejor respuesta que había a mi pregunta?
Paimon, are you two all right?
Oh, we're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is coming, you know?
Oh, no, el fin del mundo, los marcianos llegaron ya.
I see. I feel that same sense of desperation, too. I guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. But even so, I still hope for and believe in miracles.
Yay.
Astrology is eternal and rational, but fate may not be. It is cruel, but it can also be beautiful. Perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set. I did originally think of steering clear of all this, but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone. If we don't struggle to the last, then how can we face the end when it comes?
Esa es la actitud.
You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about
Bye
work-related
bye.
stuff... I need to get going. It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are struggling in the same way I did. I suppose that might be why we always seem to meet by...
Yay. Bye bye, Mona.
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said, but also kind of sad too. Hey, traveler, Paimon suddenly feels like going outside. Let's walk
Pues
around the
vamos a
city,
ver.
shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by.
Andamos bien tristes. Andamos agotados porque viene el fin del mundo. O eso dicen nuestras amigas y amigas. Sí estaría culero, ¿no? Eso de que en una inundación deja tú la gente que muere ahogada, que la gente quede debajo de la inundación y simplemente desaparezca. Eso daría más culo todavía.
Huh? Our names are written in this newspaper.
Nos hemos hecho famosos sin saberlo.
Let
Es
Paimon
como que no
see.
lo fueran.
The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy, but that does not mean that others cannot interact with it.
Sabe que el fuerte me lo pide en un submarino.
My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little fruit. Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that.
Comete un crimen para que te
Yes,
metan
let an
dentro.
Outlander friend become the focus of this report. A blonde adventurer with their white fairy legends trailing in their wake. It is said that this mysterious traveler once visited the underwater fortress. So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades.
Ah, medio curso.
Here is Charlotte's biggest scoop yet, the Traveler's Trail, World Walker.
Uf,
Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She
lo
hasn't been able
normal
to
de
get a
ella.
hold of anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead?
Eso parece, Pai.
Seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool, so Paimon will forgive her this time.
Claro que sí, ella siempre estará perdonada. Yo sigo caminando. Se siente como relleno de la misión, ¿no? Así de, en lo que empezamos con lo bueno, vamos a dar un paseo en la ciudad.
We're here! Paimon's hungry. Should we go?
Hora de comer, siempre hay que comer. Hora de comer. Ya mérito es la hora de cenar, de hecho. Mm,
Hey, quick! Look! That's
¿qué
a
es?
limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake!
¡Oh! ¡Ya no se ha agotado!
So delicious the last time we tried it! Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go. Paimon's sure it'll be
Rápido, antes de que alguien se nos adelante.
One slice of cake, please.
¡No!
Someone showed up after all!
Malditos sean todos.
You're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalette was right. You really can eat.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Ay,
Every
qué
day?
glotona.
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon, and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe the waters will rise tomorrow. You know,
Paimon anda bien pinche deprimente.
Oh, the
Paimon modo
prophecy.
emo.
To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No. Still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow. No. It's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow, but if you can do so today.
Vive, Paimon.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know
Paimon
Sijuin?
está bien deprimente.
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to this. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food. I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right?
Adiós. Adiós, cosa alegre y bonita. Cuyo
There
nombre
she
yo no
goes.
recuerdo.
All right, let's dig
Porque hay
in.
demasiadas de esas.
I'm sure this cake will be delicious.
Paimon modo emo, no sé si me cae bien.
It's more delicious than last time, and the flavor gets even better with a sip of tea. It sure would be nice if we could come again tomorrow. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food.
Ojalá podamos seguir comiendo. ¿Quién dices? Bueno, ya comimos. Paimon está en modo emo.
Oh, we're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Pues vamos con Charlotte. Eso no está bien traducido. Mejor no me tiro por aquí, no voy a hacer que lastime a Shongli, güey. Che Shongli de Bilucho.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve. You just used us to make some quick money.
Pensamos que eras nuestra amiga. ¿Dónde está la parte que nos corresponde, traidor?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't receive it, though. It's all right. I set
Traidora.
aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some food.
Really? Oh, you're the best.
Ok, quedas perdonada.
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be an...
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
Siempre necesitamos algo de ti.
Mona mentioned you.
Ven
and
aquí,
that's
dame un
what
abrazo.
it's
Ah,
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine.
claro que
So
sí.
she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Que eres una grosera. No, no es cierto.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary Traveler and
Siempre
Paimon?
quiere entrevistas exclusivas.
Huh? So your
Teóricamente esto
article
es una
in Paper
entrevista.
Today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
No somos tan interesantes.
Are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Sas.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
Ahí estaba media escalera.
Just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow? What would you do today?
Paimon modo emo.
That's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I've never once thought that the day could be tomorrow. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake my homeland that easily.
La waifu del binocular
From what
habla.
I've seen, most people don't know what
Del
they do should
monocular.
the worst come
Del
to pass.
monóculo.
In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry over such an end. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy.
Just think about
En
it.
efecto,
If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless.
yo si el mundo se fuera a acabar mañana, lo pasaría con la familia, la verdad. Uno le agarra cariño a la familia cuando llegan esos días. Mm, con mis sobrinos, así estaremos jugando todo el puto día. Si el mundo se va a acabar, hacemos lo que siempre. ¿Cómo no? Mm,
And then do you know
pero
what I'd
cada
do?
quien.
Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to
Ya
the United
esos,
Nations as soon as
esas
possible.
mamadas de me pongo a coger porque el mundo se va a acabar, depende de la persona. Yo no me veo haciendo eso. Si ves historia, enviar a la imprenta y usar palomas mensajeras. Enviar palomas mensajeras, vale. Enviar señales de humo para distribuir la noticia también sería buena
I'm
idea.
not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do
Mm,
love my job, and I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. I guess you could say that I was born to be a journalist.
nació para ser
Anyway, that's
reportera.
my answer. And on that note,
Habla un chingo,
So
lárgate.
nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we?
Pues vamos al mar. Raymond anda bien deprimente, güey.
The
Está
sea
bien
breeze and
emo.
scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking.
¿El
If
qué?
it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow, where would we go and what would we do?
Iríamos a otro mundo, Paimon. Somos viajeros
Paimon should ask,
interdimensionales.
if you could choose, what would you like to do?
Si pudiera elegir. Es como lo que dijo Charlotte. Devanarse los sesos pensando en ello no tiene
We've
sentido.
always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. We didn't have to either, with us always being on the road and whatnot.
Y seguiré haciéndolo hasta que ese día llegue. Hasta el día de mi muerte seguiré vagando sin rumbo.
You mean
Todo un
still traveling?
trotamundos. Sí, y apreciando cada segundo. Y admirando todo lo que hay en este mundo.
Huh. Wait, isn't that what we've always been doing?
El tiempo pasa volando mientras charlas con Paimon. Al caer la noche, vuelven a su alojamiento para dar el día por terminado. Los días siguientes son muy tranquilos y Charlotte los entrevista en la base de espinas de Rosula en el río Ceniciento. Tras terminar lo que tenía que hacer en Poison, Navia regresa a la sede y toma una imagen conjunta de ustedes. Todo parece ir bien. Ya se nos acabó la depre.
Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough.
Ya no le gustó la casa.
It's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty too.
¿A ti no te gusta donde nos dan alojamiento gratis, Paimon? Por eso eres muy mala vagabunda.
So the two of you are still here. One.
Aquí ando, sí.
Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to look for you two before. I heard that afterward you went to the fortress of Meropide.
¿Pensabas que éramos furtivos?
Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here to pass along a message from him.
¿Ocurrido algo?
Inside the Opera House, the Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
Tan, tan, tan.
A riot?
¿Rebelión?
Well, that
¿En
said,
la
I
ópera?
don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, and while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly started harassing her. Loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis.
Oh,
Before she could
shit.
respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
Oh, no. Digo, el arconte y Hydra está en
People
problemas.
have started to put the blame on Farina.
Mm.
Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary.
But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first to be blamed.
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry.
Como buena niña chequeada,
Jose
oyó
claimed
los
he had done in
problemas.
full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we real.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The
Oh
Marshal has
no.
dispatched many people to search for her, but we don't have any leads yet. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god after all. Even if she were to fall into the hands of rioters, what could ordinary people do to her?
Ya veo.
Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but...
Don't worry, this is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Ah, is that so? Well, all right then. In that case...
¡Ah! El plan está en
Sounds
marcha.
like we should hurry over to Poisson then.
Claro, tiene dos
We
cosas,
know
Paimon.
Farina. She won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic, but she doesn't have a heart of stone. When Nervalet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, she couldn't hide her sadness and remorse.
Me encanta que cuando se ocupa Paimon puede ver a través de las paredes y las puertas y decir, se veía muy molesta la arconte Furina cuando Villet le estaba interrogando en privado sin que nosotros la viéramos.
It would be hard for her to ignore being accused by the public today. Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to slip away to Poisson and try to relieve the sense of guilt that she's feeling. Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis to back it up, too. Cool,
Desde
huh?
luego no eres la misma cuando te conviertes en la detective Pikachu. Leer novelas de misterio ha servido de algo.
There's not a moment to lose. Poisson, here we come.
Y las novelas de misterio te ponen a pensar pendejada y media, güey. No las criticaría así como así, eh. Soy fan de las novelas de misterio, y más si son pedos tipo Batman. Passant, ahora dirá Passant. A ver si encontramos a Furina. Qué acto tan
This
largo,
place
¿eh?
looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible.
Y como buscando un cachorrito, ¿no? Furina, Furina, vuelve. Arenita te extraña, Calamar. Patricio te extraña, hasta Calamardo te extraña. Vuelve. Ay. Uf, encontramos al cachorrito abandonado, triste.
That's Farina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Que te calles el hocico, Paimon. Chingado.
Should I just give up? This what was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over?
Ya cuando la niña fresa llora en la novela es que algo está serio, güey.
Who's that? Don't worry, Farina. It's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects, come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
Me encanta el hablar tan expresivo.
What
Vas
do you
llorando.
mean, tear stains? I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchaussée Phantom are freaking out right next to them too.
Deja de fingir, Furina. No lo ocultes. Claramente estás triste.
Of course not.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there!
¡Oh, no! Vienen los increpantes. ¡Oh, no!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the... That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off. Quick,
¡Oh, no! Yo. Pues vamos. Híjole, qué persecución tan intensa. Pregunto si los atraparán. ¿Se notó mi sarcasmo? No creo. Desaparecieron mágicamente.
This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you.
What is this place?
No sé, pero es un buen lugar para esconderse.
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
¿Cuánto que eso es parte del plan? Si es parte, le voy a poner Operación Emo al video. Si está muy emo todo esto, güey. Operación Emo. Emo.
Paimon's exhausted.
I'm so tired. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Pieto, este sitio no está insonorizado y me duele mis tímpanos. No hables tan alto, Furina, podrían descubrirnos.
You're right. Yep, that's a good girl.
Tranquila. ¡Ah! ¡Que está temblando la casa!
What's happening? The ground's shaking. Is
A lo
it?
mejor es otra catástrofe.
Quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this...
Yeah, I hope you're right. But the people of Poisson...
Ha llegado Furina ya al límite. Parece que ahora se comporta de una manera más natural. Furina se relaja y charlan un rato.
It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years.
Chan, chan,
I
chan.
once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a we cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way.
¡Pum! Estamos peleados con Celestia. Aún así, no te has rendido. Y aún sabiendo eso, no te has rendido, ¿cierto?
Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free.
Pero también significaría que no hay ninguna esperanza.
I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson.
Me encanta el mame de ¡he vivido un chingo de siglos! Pero no es hasta que hemos perdido Poisson que quiero rendirme. Ha de haber habido más chances para rendirse.
Fate really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all.
Es mi problema con Furina. Siento que no se toma las cosas en
Don't take
serio.
any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
No tenemos mucho tiempo. Tengo que preguntarle algo más o no habremos avanzado nada. Furina, Furina, no hace falta que cargues tú sola con todo esto. No, aunque nadie sepa la verdad, el pueblo estará dispuesto a compartir la carga que llevas. Si tu pueblo supiera la verdad, querrían compartir la carga contigo.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
De acuerdo, no la compartas, pero al menos cuéntame qué sucede. Aunque no puedas compartirla, sí puedes contarme qué es. Cuéntamelo, seré tu testigo. Be my witness.
Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here.
No.
And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
Cuenta. Dilo ya, mujer, ya. Ya. Dímelo. A ver, viene video. Cinemática. Ábrete. Esto es acoso sexual en mi país, o yo siento que es acoso sexual. Sí, está muy de acosador. ¿Qué está pasando? ¡A la madre! Qué elaborado estuvo el plano ahí.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So, this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic... Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial?
Se abría, muchachos. Me interrumpieron.
You will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god?
Ay, Furina sí puede con ella, lo sabes.
I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
¿A poco sí puede pelear?
Paimon can't believe it. She...
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly
Lady Furina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear...
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary.
¿Qué verbo es, güey?
I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly... But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true... This time, I will protect... Applaud and rejoice! One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your... Mark my words! This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crime? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Obviamente el trailer.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent.
Corina estuvo a punto de contarnos su secreto, pero al final ocurrió esto. No pasa nada. Mientras gane el juicio, seguiré teniendo la oportunidad de que nos lo explique todo. Ay, ya empezamos con los juicios. Uf.
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial
Pregúntame.
Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates.
Oh, me encanta que lo ponen en formato cómic.
They
Qué
changed
bonito.
into plain clothes and came to the opera house as regular audience members, waiting for the people's resentment against their archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was, moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself.
Ya lo de que hubiera Poisson se me hace muy forzado, pero
So,
bueno.
we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean, the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box rather than someone's residence.
Oh,
As the
magia.
super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese. The volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias. Its cargo, of course, was an archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off.
No era necesario que explicaran cómo trasladar una
We had
caja.
to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
Te
It
hicieron
was
un
a lot of
túnel.
work for all of us.
So,
Oh, my
in
goodness.
other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of
Y
the
luego te
whole
meten al
house?
túnel y el pinche túnel bien elaborado, bien bonito acá. Es como de, güey, eso no se elabora en un
That's
día.
right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Te engañé.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion.
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the
Ah,
stage.
caray, entonces, ¿cuál era tu
Oh?
papel? Mi misión era intentar una última cosa. Queríamos que nos contaras tu secreto antes de llegar al tribunal.
Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very...
Efectivamente, ahora lo único que podemos hacer es juzgarla, porque Hydro. Aún así, no puedo dejar de pensar en ello. Iba a contarme Furina antes de que llegáramos al tribunal. ¡Que te ama!
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too!
Me encanta que estén de ¡Hola, Charlotte!
Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we... So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument.
Nunca pensé que podría
Let's
tener
quickly
ese
confirm
uso.
the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right.
Son los juicios, ¿no? La defensa de
I
Lane.
think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time.
La verdad, el caso de las chicas desaparecidas. Sí, los casos que
This
resolvimos.
is the first time Monsieur Nervillette had a difference of opinion with the oratories. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out.
Me encanta que te ponen los comentarios de Coline.
Tui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something.
La reunión con Arcalino.
The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of...
Quería estar en medio de una crisis para hacer una nota, dice Coline. Y eso no me lo puedo perdonar que no estuve.
According to Monsieur Nervillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time.
Oye, qué bonito está
I
esto.
nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers.
Ay, la queridísima Navia.
The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal
Está padre que haya
happens.
comentarios de Florine, o como se llame. Florinda Mesa.
And the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Chan, chan, chan.
Oh, come on, Nervillette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legal... Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this.
Pero
Of
Furio.
course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon.
Me encanta cuando Silas habla. Oh.
Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon
Dun,
in the
dun,
first place.
dun.
Wait,
No es un arconte.
what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Chan, chan, chan.
I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted.
Chan, chan, chan.
Lady
Y
Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady
está
Farina,
dudando.
I plead not guilty. How can there is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true
Ha
archon.
sido más fácil traer a los otros arcontes, ¿no? Y darles a ellos.
Yeah. Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you
Shan,
wish
shan,
to
shan.
drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the
La
people.
gente cree que eres su arconte porque lo han creído así desde hace tiempo. El pueblo te considera su arconte porque eso ha sido su creencia durante mucho tiempo.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask.
Sí,
If you
¿qué
believe
es?
I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
Tengo que pensar con cuidado. ¿Qué hace a Furino tan especial? Yo digo que es... mm, no relacionado. Para eso iba. Ah, las no relacionadas están en gris, ok. Mm, a ver. Pues agarré la reunión de Arquelino.
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And
Por
second of all,
ejemplo,
even
una
if that
maldición.
wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
Eso no importa, lo importante es cuál es la verdad.
I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh,
Tanya
Newbie?
Villets dudó, güey. Eres una humana con una maldición.
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them. It's not impossible.
Están dudando de su arconte.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal
Ni la sabe
in
reparar.
our house, or consider the indemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
Un momento, está demostrado que Furina no controla la analizadora. Ni la sabe reparar. Eso fue con Novil, ¿verdad? Eso fue con Novil, si mal no me acuerdo.
Tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the oratrice declared child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
Farina se siente
That was no
presionada.
trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that...
So, you neither knew why child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the oratrice gave out a guilty verdict, but the oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first
Sigo
created.
insistiendo que la Narcis está en la analizadora.
You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof
Dejemos a
that
un
she
lado
has
el
the power
asunto
over
de
the
las
oratrice.
hazañas. ¿Podrías mostrarnos tu poder? ¿Podrías hacer una demostración de tu poder divino?
My power as an archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an archon?
Ay, sí, no les quiero hacer
If
daño.
this is a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Muéstranos brevemente cómo se hace el elemento hidro. Hasta un humano con visión podrá mostrar su poder sin problema. ¡Oh! ¡Que no tiene visión!
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Pero se supone que sí tiene la visión Hydro. Yo lo uso como personaje base.
Yes, it's all because of indemnitium. All archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Me encantan sus respuestas sacadas del
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
Vamos ganando.
Seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar. I'm still the same Farina you knew.
Qué verbo.
The one that you loved. Shouldn't you want to believe in me? Please? You've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Yo quisiera que le pasara a muchos políticos de mi país.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is?
En la analizadora.
No evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such. Then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually...
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now?
Aunque no tengamos pruebas de que no es un arconte, al menos podemos demostrar que es humana. Si Furina es humana, entonces... A ver, tengo tres opciones. Cuatro, porque la queda del mar también. No sé qué tenga que ver eso, pero... Ah, no, mentira, sí sé. Si es una diosa, podría resistir el agua primigenia. Es verdad.
That
Ok, pues no. Eh, mm, mm, mm. ¿Será esta?
That
Que
doesn't.
no. Ok. Mm, a ver. Caso de las chicas desaparecidas.
It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use
Ah,
right here
la van a
and
echar
now
al agua
to eliminate
primigenia.
all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe
Dun,
that you are
dun,
indeed the
dun.
real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. All it should, but if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess
Chan, chan, chan.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Ah, sí lo va a hacer.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of...
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is...
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Oh, metí la manita.
Hey!
Lo ha hecho.
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is... Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm not...
Miss Siegewien? If you're present, Miss Siegewien, please come...
Siegewien? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few... That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater.
Thank you, Miss Siegewien. Lady Farina, you may return to the...
Oh, wait! What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved! Shouldn't that be enough to prove my... Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the... It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have...
I can't believe...
¿Qué está pasando? Es imposible que Furina no supiera las consecuencias de tocar el agua. No parece ella misma. ¿Acaso defender su identidad como arconte es más importante que su propia vida? A lo mejor, ese tiempo que se ha rendido.
Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! What happened just now didn't prove a single thing! Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the primordial? Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water?
Y ya no le creen.
Anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
Y... Ya ni Nubilet le cree. Y...
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
Ooh.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway her. It's just too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is...
Dios mío, cuánto drama.
guilty.
Oh, guilty. Todo porque no quiere contar qué pedo.
We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale to render the final verdict on the charge.
Oh, no me harto de ver esta animación.
According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Farina is...
Oh, ¿qué pasó?
What's wrong? What's the oratrice's verdict?
La analizadora ha declarado inocente.
The oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydra to be punished via the death sentence.
Ah, qué caray.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
Ah, qué caray.
The only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth.
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah, even Vache wasn't sentenced to death by the oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Extraño es que en el veredicto ponga arconte hidro, no furina.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now,
Cuando
the
el chiste se
oratrice
sale de
seems to have
control.
deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Chan, chan, chan.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will always be top priority.
Ah, encontró la placa.
So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get, but has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too
Me
late?
encanta cómo lo dice.
Oh no.
Aún no hemos resuelto el enigma.
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. I would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Chan, chan, chan.
So what do you see? What is it?
Esto. Es la antigua arconte hidro usando su poder divino. El arconte hidro convirtiendo a las oceánidas en humanos.
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she...
Los humanos de Fontaine en realidad son oceánidas.
So when you say Hydro-Archon, do you mean the...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stones. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slips.
Luego las imágenes de las placas para extraer de ellas la información. A ver. Entre los incidentes apuntados en el manual de la entrevista encuentra situaciones relacionadas con las imágenes de las placas para corroborar su veracidad. El nivel del agua de la fuente de la interfaz aumentará conforme se procesa la corroboración. Cuando corrobores la veracidad de todas las placas, se revelará la veracidad de la profecía. Damn, boy.
Stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro-Archon using... Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon, wasn't it? The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro-Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still... This must be the point when the Hydro-Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. Does the third slate shows the Hydro-Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by... That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro-Archon... We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a...
Es esto, ¿no? Corroborar. Oh, con una chinga. Esto. Oh. Oh. A ver, vamos por partes. Corroborar. Ahí está,
Something
eso sí.
simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro-Archon in the sea. Could that be a loop?
Ok, ahí va una. Luego está esta, que es la de transforma. ¿Será esto?
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontainians can be dissolved in primordial, and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro-Archon used her power to turn... This might be the reason that Fontaine...
Está. Una placa de piedra. Encontré unas ruinas. Esa es la de acá, ¿no? La de que no es el arconte, creo.
Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The
Dun,
true
dun, dun,
sin of
dun.
the Hydro-Archon that Nervalet mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia.
Ok. ¿Será esto? No. Esta. Entonces es lo de Nevilet.
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
A ver, supone que lo completamos, digo.
She'll dissolve into the primordial sea, but won't cease to exist. There
Se convierten en oceánidas, qué verde.
The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps Navia fell into the water inside those ruins.
Es posible que el arconte sea acusada de culpable aunque no se le haga juicio.
In a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay.
Ese juicio estuvo bien perro.
The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass. No matter prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together.
Ahí está, corroboración completada. A ver qué pasa. Qué frío.
Oh, Paimon gets it now. So that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some.
Let's hear them.
La primera placa demuestra que la gente de Fontaine es realmente humana.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontainians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontainians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of
Indeed.
Segunda placa demuestra que el pecado del arconte fue crear a la gente de Fontaine.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission.
La directiva se enojó.
Also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected.
Tercera y la cuarta deberían de ir en el orden
Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate?
La cuarta placa representa la profecía.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source.
Ahora tengo que detener, ¿verdad? Ocupo bajar y subir rápido. ¿Qué revolución tengo? Voy. ¿Puedo cenar arriba? ¿Puedo cenar arriba? Ok, voy a cenar. Esa breve introducción. Ocupo ir por la cena, pero no le quiero quitar. Está así como de uff. Entonces, seguimos aquí.
When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes
Ya te
well,
dije la
we
verdad.
should finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro-Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro-Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro-Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro-Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro-Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro-Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro-Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct.
Te retrotraducir la placa entonces.
Visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the 3rd slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro-Archon at the court of justice.
Entonces,
yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
No lo sé, es como si el destino lo controlara todo.
No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meropide served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to
Me
pass,
encanta que
yes?
Neoviled apenas se tocó la placa un minuto y, mira, ya descubrí la verdad y tú estás mal. Bueno, está bien.
However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before.
Lo he visto, ¿no? La ballenota. Ok. Ay, otra vez corroboración.
It's just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
Ok, todas están bien menos esta. Mm, La pinche ballena.
It was both dream and reality.
La ballena es el final de todo, ¿qué?
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
Damn, boy.
The original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
Y la ballena también es un arconte, ¿o qué? Me quedé con esa curiosidad. Estoy congelando. Oh, ¿qué está pasando? Damn, boy. Eso no lo vi venir. Rayos, Child sacó su modo engaño. No, Child se nos muere. Oh no, Child.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
La ballena que no vio cuando era
So
pequeño.
we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while.
Oh, ya entramos a modo sci-fi,
It has
güey.
been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, When it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the...
It is too late.
¿Por
We
qué?
had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even
Damn,
if the
boy.
entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
Prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
Al final las cosas han tenido que salir así. Es imposible luchar contra el destino. Un momento, el destino.
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall?
Puede ser.
Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
¿Y qué debo de hacer? Tal vez, aunque la profecía se cumpla de verdad, sé que hay una manera de salvar a los demás. Debe de haber algo que se me está escapando. Claro, Furina, ¿qué es lo que iba a contarnos cuando estábamos en el baúl mágico gigante? ¿Cuál es el secreto de Furina? El nombre es ridículo, baúl mágico gigante. Jolen, puras cinemáticas. Me ha dado chance de cortar.
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
What?
No, I still need answers.
Me encanta el Traveler de necesito respuestas. O sea que está en medio es la hermana, ¿no? Que es ya. Esto está bastante. Es la verdadera arconte, ¿eh?
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
A
It's
Celestia.
all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro-Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it?
Gente que ha dicho tantas cosas y en el diálogo es nomás cuando quería el arconte anteriormente. Es que toda mí la profecía pensé, qué mierda, ¿no?
She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro-Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her
O sea, si
first
es
day as a
humana,
human being.
sigue siendo diosa. Oh,
The me you see before
por eso
you
no tiene la
now is
Noxus.
that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydro-Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro-Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Ok. Andamos muy profundos. Cuando alguien tiene una sensibilidad al elemento hidro lo suficientemente alta, ocurre lo que me pasó en Fontana Lucín. Te conectas a la conciencia de una oceanidad. ¿Estaré en el mundo interno de Furina? Furina, ¿qué hace en el escenario? Pensándolo bien, puede que no sea Furina, sino un reflejo de su yo interno. Si pudiera hablar directamente con ella, tal vez averiguaría algo importante. He venido en busca de respuestas, así que no puedo dejar pasar esta oportunidad. Intentaré hablar con ella. Así de, oye, Furina, Furina. Supongo que estás en modo especial de la trama. No, no vamos a repetir nada. Chinga su madre, ya estamos aquí. 2 horas de video ya son pocas al cabo. Mm, de haber sabido que iba a durar tanto.
Here to come onto the stage. Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but I must ask you to keep to the rules.
Soy yo,
All
Silas.
right. It is not my intent to
No me
reprimand
mires, no me
you.
mires.
There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance.
Me encantó lo de no me mires, no me mires. Pero si aquí no hay ningún público. Aunque solo sea un momento, por favor, apaga las luces del escenario.
I am Fosalor. The eyes
Si
of
podré volver a
countless
ser yo.
Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and nobility.
Nada, es imposible hablar con ella. En su interior sigue interpretando el papel del arconte Hydro. ¿Qué gran determinación tendrá para haber creado este muro en su interior y su subconsciente? Tengo que encontrar la manera de hablar con ella. Que pues ya nos dijo que hay que apagar las luces del escenario, así que
Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon.
como si pudieran contra mí, hijos de su pinche Maggie. Ándeles. No molesten.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards! Out of my way!
Stabilize.
Quietly now.
La última luz me la quiero guardar para lo que salga después. Vamos eran dos. Ya he apagado todos los focos. Seguro que en el interior de Furina, esas luces simbolizan a las personas que la miraban. ¿Y qué fueron esas palabras que escuché antes? ¿Será la verdadera voz interior de Furina? Una entrada. ¿Cómo ha acabado aquí? ¡Un ticket mágico! ¡A la fábrica de chocolates de Willy Wonka! Estaba sadísimo en eso, ¿cuánto? Parece que va a empezar un espectáculo. Veamos tu verdadero yo interior, Furina. Acto número 1, enfrente del espejo, Furina. Ajá. Ahora la controlo. Ok. Ah, solo puede caminar, qué padre. O sea, se supone que sí es un arconte, pero es mitad arconte. La mitad humana del arconte, tengo entendido.
Farina. Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid.
Está
I
el
am before
arconte.
you.
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad. Let's go with that.
Mirror me. What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. I know. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain.
Oh, very good. You know.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember anything clearly. The only thing I know for sure.
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared. There is no escaping it.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like them. Will I dissolve too?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. It is the reason why you met me today.
Hora de cambiar el destino. Pero teóricamente no se disuelven, más bien se transforman en
I will
oceánicos.
tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh.
So there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world,
¿Sufro o muero?
if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human, my ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role, that of the new Archon.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity.
Pasó en el pasado.
If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be revealed, then all hope will be lost.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would be like. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending against humanity.
Esa es frase para enmarcar. Tu mayor reto no será buscar la divinidad, sino luchar contra tu naturaleza humana. Oh.
I'm still not sure I understand, but I'll try. So,
How long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. You will endure and not grow old until your task ends, but I promise you, all will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial, and everyone will be saved.
A trial? Huh. How exciting. I'll be looking forward to it.
Obviamente se le olvidó. Acto número 2. El discurso de toma de posesión de Furina. Que también va a ocurrir en la ópera, supongo. Y camino. Y
The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest, I still don't know. Perhaps I should first try to
armarse de
speak
valor.
ahem. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Verena de Fontaine, your new Archon.
Actuar con sinceridad.
I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to guide you all. As the god Fosalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age of fairness and justice. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together, after all. This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thoughts just fine. Okay, and next.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more assertive.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her and an ordinary person, then?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-back puppet.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Oh, this is right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a god as calm down, Farina. Think, assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can dispel all doubt. That is the character I'm fated to play. Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are deserving of my rule. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of this opera house, would the children of Fontaine follow them? Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified to witness wondrous trials alongside my august self. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere. Now then, let us be reintroduced.
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before. Such a fascinating and bold...
Van y circo para el pueblo y se creerán lo que sea. Ok.
It seems I've turned them around.
people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. The scales
Con
of
rebombancia.
justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, praise and applause. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people, to, so long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Yay! Y el punto es que se la fue creyendo que era un arconte. Acto número 3, la ópera furina. Otra vez a caminar.
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in person? Leave these kinds of things to Neuvillette. Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial are you truly looking forward to?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things. How could you hope to understand?
That's true. I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought, lady.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties. The trial I await. It will come one day.
Puedo correr a diferencia de las veces anteriores. Que según yo eso simboliza su confianza.
I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of my divine charm. All right. Deuteria, is it? How is your son's illness?
You remembered me, and you knew of my family, too. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me to seek an audience with you.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future, please do not hesitate to come and tell me. Going down to citizens' homes every so often.
You're such a gentle and wise God. Thank you once again, on behalf of...
Cuyo. Bueno, no corre, pero por lo menos ya no camina.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of, I'm afraid things still don't look good.
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to see how far your human wisdom would allow you to analyze it. All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass. Forget it. That's not something you need to worry about right now.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also trying to find a way to counter the rising water levels.
Really? Have they found anything?
Y se emociona.
Afraid that they haven't found any effective solution thus far.
Maldita sea.
Is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has reached the realm of the gods, after all. Still, their spirit is praiseworthy. The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe this whole time. But it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any voices of suspicion. Maybe this is fine. I just need to keep going. Alright, Farina, don't think too hard about this. You need rest.
Mimiro. Número 4, la ópera Fury. Literal, se aventó
Here
toda
are the
una
new
ópera.
trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's...
Lady Farina, I've waited so...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment is an honor for us both.
Lady Farina,
Repite,
we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up at the Institute. I don't think I let anything slip today. I must show the people that there is nothing to worry about. I just don't know when these days will end. I feel utterly exhausted. Best to rest early today, too.
Sí, fue un día tras otro, ¿no? Otra vez la ópera Furina. ¿Cuántos actos hoy? Número 182.375.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able to speak with you up close like this. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Dioteria. Almost
20 generaciones, qué hueva.
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a faithful believer.
Surely you exaggerate, Lady Farina. My lady?
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters, can I?
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your
La cara de
power.
ya.
Oh, Archon, I am honored to have witnessed it. Honored indeed.
Tan trabada de ya.
So lonely. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps the show.
Eso me pregunto más que esta cinemática lleva para 2 horas.
I never imagined that it would hurt. Have I reached my limit? No. Perhaps I reached it long ago. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. But I've conducted so many investigations across. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act.
No, ya, chingado, ya. Furina I. ¿Quién es Furina I? Ah, llegamos a la
Farina,
parte de la
you don't
reunión.
have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Esa es mi voz. ¿Será este el momento en el que estoy hablando con Furina en el baúl mágico gigante? Perfecto. No pensé que este acto también se representaría en el mundo interno de Furina. Pero por fin podré saber qué es lo que me iba a contar.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, just share it with me. I'm what you'd call a witness.
A witness? Yes. I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case... He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected, the people of Fontaine will be the ones to pay the price. No, Farina, you shouldn't be selfish. But what if it's really all right? Farina, you've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find some... If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, it might never come back. Think about it. Long and hard.
Entonces se cayeron las paredes.
No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina, the Archon of Fontaine. Everything will surely get better. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance until the curtains fall.
Fine.
Me encanta cómo lo dice. Un coraje. Híjole, Vic, tienes razón, qué historia tan profunda, güey.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate. It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only half the truth. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
No me
I've always
digas.
suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along. Am I right?
Digo, eso yo ya lo había dicho, pero...
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
Ooh.
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, Did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the oratories. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority had to be,
A
accumulated
la vez.
to enact this death sentence.
It was all part of your plan, then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. Almost all of it has now been stored within the oratories. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia, and breaking through the institution that is the...
So the oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
Un plan de suicidio demasiado elaborado, ¿no?
Seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possess. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to in other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether it be myself or Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too, at last. I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between... You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope
hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Oh, pies descalzos. ¿Se supone que el Traveler y Niveled están viviendo lo mismo al mismo tiempo? O sea, ambos son testigos de lo mismo, ¿qué pedo? Madres. Ok, la versión humana de Fossalors va a seguir viviendo. Es todo lo que has hecho. Oh. A partir de ahora vive feliz como humana, tal y como siempre desee.
I, Eudex Nouvelet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Ahorita sea que siga apareciendo en el centro no me gusta, ¿viste? Ahí detrás de la imagen del tío Silas, como no.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something huge just happened.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened was good for us.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the primordial sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
Os vamos. Ya me hice la idea de que hoy no va a ser stream, así que vamos. Yeah, ya han sido un chingo de videos grabados. Ahí está la puta ballena. ¡Uy, ballena! Tu falta de fe me molesta.
Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient brotherhood. We shall look for an open door.
Solidify!
El pinche ballena culero. No se vale, se me ve muy rápido. Yo soy tan lento. Ok, eliminar el vórtice.
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. A chance will present itself.
The bond is strong.
¿Cuál es la parte donde me come? Ahí está. Este mame que el devora estrellas sea un guerrero visitante de la otra orilla en el oscuro mar de estrellas. Obtengo una forma de guerrero, a mí me encantó. Es como de
Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
de moverte y acepta tu castigo como un hombre. Ahí está. A ver, viene cinemática. Y William cayó. Todavía saca el bastón como si lo ocupara. Ey, esa no es Fósalos. ¿Dónde se fue Tartas?
Helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but oh well.
¿Y tú quién eres?
It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime.
Es la maestra de Tartas.
Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder. I suppose I'll have to swing my sword 3 million times as penance.
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it.
¿Quién es tu maestro?
It eats too much, and I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master.
El culo.
Wait, is that...
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
Sertologi. ¿Quién?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name the Fowl?
Caballero Protervo.
Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the visionary? Vetterfalnir, then? Or Gold Rhine-daughter?
Nombres raros.
Rhine-Daughter's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine-daughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait, didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
No es nada de lo que haya que sorprenderse, Paimon. Desde ese tiempo sabemos, aceptamos que era evidente que la profecía se cumpliría.
Not
Pero
to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the heavenly principles.
ese es el
In the
pero.
end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Los oceánidas ya no son oceánidas. Entonces, según la cinemática, se hundió Fontaine. El arca.
All hands initiate emergency rescue. Hurry! Hey, lend a hand. Look, the water's receding. It's a miracle.
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
En el juego no se va a ver el desastre de la inundación, ¿verdad? Supongo. Estaría bien verga. Se me esperaba que la ballena fuera más difícil. Digo, en modos normales, pues sí, pero
Renewed. The Spina di Rosula talks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of the Spina di Rosula, and we spoke about Poisson's present and future. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small cookie when you're starving late at night. You just need a little of it. Skyship Winglet, Booner Brain of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute, with Jurier turning out to be people always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle, they would find it all the... Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia? They sound like real big shots.
mejor siempre lo han sido. Quizás seamos nosotros los que nunca supimos
What
que
do
lo
you
era.
think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With the disaster just having passed, we would print a free edition packed to the margins with good news to calm people. The value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish further reports and go into the stories behind those people. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories could draw even your well-traveled eye.
Es que me quedo con ganas de saber más.
Wait a minute. Didn't we watch everything happen from start to finish? What's the...
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubators of news, if you haven't noticed.
Are you sure? Hasn't he turned you down several times already?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on. Let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip to the fortress.
A la verga. Llevamos casi las 3 horas nada más con este final. Ahorita lo voy a acabar, pero hay en otro video hay que cortarle para... no, demasiadas cinemáticas.